our brain first. John McLean has presented this three brains model in the 1970s, I say. So this is a very simplistic model, but very good for understanding the overall functioning of the brain. Our brain has a history of development of 550 million years. This brain has taken 550 million years to develop in the present shape. So first of all, on the right side, present shape of our brain is given. First of all, the reptilian brain developed, cerebellum and brainstem. This one, this bottom part, brainstem and cerebellum developed. This is required for maintaining our involuntary activities like our breathing, like our digestion, which was necessary for our survival. Then developed the second layer, which is the limbic brain. This middle part is the limbic brain. It consists basically emotional brain. It consists of thalamus, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, amygdala, hippocampus, and basal ganglia. So these amygdala and hippocampus play a very important role in stress management as well as in happiness. And then developed our modern part, neocortex, our executive mind, our logical mind, brain, our decision-making brain. It consists of four lobes. This is the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and this on the back side it is the occipital lobe, and this is the temporal lobe. This portion shown in blue color is the neocortex containing of four lobes here and here. So if we see the history of evolution, first of all, cerebellum developed and brainstem for controlling our involuntary activities. Then limbic brain developed for controlling our emotions and experience. And finally, our neocortex, the prefrontal cortex, developed for our decision, thoughts, and knowledge. And the order of development is from old to new. So majority of our evolution, only cerebellum and limbic brain was there. So some of the authors say that this neocortex has been formed to serve these two types of brains. We'll be discussing later. And one more thing, the interaction of amygdala and hippocampus. They define the stress level in our brain as well as the happiness level. You can see this is amygdala, small one, and this bigger one is hippocampus. If you are emotionally weak, you are overthinker, you are thinking over, then this amygdala will increase in size. If you take too much stress on yourself, this amygdala will increase size and this hippocampus will shrink in size. And hippocampus is responsible for your memory-based function. Your memory will get weakened, and your decision making is dependent upon your memory. If your memory is weakened, your decision making is weakened. Cerebellum is responsible for our hardwired attitudes, repeated actions, habits, conditioned behaviors, unconscious reflexes, and skills. While the midbrain or the limbic brain is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze or feed response. If a danger comes in our way suddenly, then it's our limbic brain or midbrain which takes action, which takes charge. So either we freeze, either we fight, or either we run away from that situation or the location. One more complexity in the cortex. Our cortex, prefrontal cortex or cortex, is divided into two parts. Basically, it consists of a gray matter, the outside matter, which processes the information, and white matter, the inside matter, which transfers the information. This is the left hemisphere, this is the right hemisphere. Left hemisphere is analytical. Whenever we do some analytical tasks like reasoning, ordering, anything, it comes into action. And the right brain is emotional. When you are overthinking, having some experience, it comes into action. And both brains are connected by corpus callosum to maintain the integrity. Basically, these both the hemisphere work in tandem. They work together. This is more elaborate diagram. The left hemisphere controls logic, science, sense of time, and language. And the right emotional brain, it controls creativity, art, intuition, and imagination. None of the hemisphere is good or bad. Both are equally good. whatever our experience is whatever our belief is, whatever our narrative is about us or others. The complete picture is given by the combination of the two hemispheres. The emotional experience, the tone is given by the right hemispheres, and the logical tone is given by the left hemisphere. The same experience, if we give positive spin by the left hemisphere, the same experience will build positive beliefs for us. It is possible for us to cause positive effect from the same experience by giving it a positive spin using the help of left hand hemisphere. And yes, there is a particle lottery. Particle lottery means, as Jonathan Hayes says, when we born, some of us this right is strong, more active, so we are more emotional. Some of us are having this left strong, more big, so that we are more analytical. But nothing much to nothing less to worry, because uh, during by our behavior, by our practices, by certain practices, we can change the size and activation of these two hemispheres. These are the four lobes of the cerebral cortex. Just for your reference, the frontal lobe, it is responsible for personality characteristics, decision making, our movement. The motor cortex resides here. Our speech ability, how we speak, and how we interpret speech is decided by the parietal lobe. Identify objects and understand spatial relationships. The spatial relationships around us is identified by the parietal lobe. It interprets pain and touch in the body. And the sensory cortex, a mini human being, is inside the parietal lobe. It is known as homunculus, because parietal lobe is having the sensory cortex and the frontal lobe is having the motor cortex. And the third one is the occipital lobe. It is involved with the vision, and temporal lobes plays a role in managing emotions, processing information from our senses, storing and retrieving, because it encapsulates, because the midbrain or the emotional brain is inside this temporal lobe. So that temporal lobe's action is also important in case of emotional responses. And it is also responsible for our hearing senses. Now a bit on neurobiology and endocrinology, because this affects our behavior in a massive way. This is a typical schematic of a neuron. The neuron doesn't actually look like this, but this is a schematic. This is soma, this body, this middle part is known as axon. This surrounded by myelin the sheaths, and this is dendritic structures which are connected. There are 85 billion neurons in our brain. There are 85 billion neurons in our brain. And this is how one neuron is connected to the other neuron. On an average, one neuron in our brain is connected to 1,000 other neurons. 1,000 other neurons. And the information passage is first electrical. Through the neuron, it passes as an electrical signal. Then between the neurons, it is passed through a chemical signal where neurotransmitters are exhibited, from one neuron are received by the second neuron or other neuron. Say if 1,000 neurons are connected by this neuron, so complex is the transferring of message. Then I will be discussing neuroplasticity. So there was a view that once the brain is formed, we cannot grow our brains, or no, we cannot grow our neurons. We cannot grow our learning capability or memory. So there are three ways when we can say that our brain rewires itself. No matter what our age is, we can still grow our brain by our experiences, thoughts, and actions. First of the way is synaptogenesis, making new connection. When you learn or repeat an action, the connection synapses between your brain cells strengthen. That's why we say cells that fire together, wire together. The second way, myelination. If this myelin sheets is formed are thickened, the transfer of message through neurons and through all the neurons is fastened. So you can increase your learning capability by increasing the myelination also. And the third one is neurogenesis. By creating new brain cells, it is possible to create new brain cells at any age. At any age. Research has shown this. You can grow your hippocampus at any age. And so your memory building capability can be built up at any age. There is an autonomic nervous system which resides between the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system throughout our body. This is a schematic for the autonomic nervous system. So if both systems operate on their own, they are related to our survival mechanism. So when we see a danger, our SNS, which is sympathetic nervous system, it is activated. Our eye dilate, our heart speeds up, lungs ki airways dilates, and stomach inhibits digestion. All our energy is concentrated towards our brain and other muscles, so that we are able to think fast and run fast and combat stronger. So whenever we see a danger, this fight or flight response is activated on its own. On the other hand, there is another system, a parasympathetic nervous system, which is known as PNS. This is the rest and digest system. When we are in the relaxed condition, our eye constricts, heart slows down, lungs constricts away, and all our energy, major of our energy is diverted to our stomach, which stimulates digestion. So when we are in this stress, perplexity, then adrenaline pathways are activated. The neural pathways, the neurons which carry adrenaline, those are activated. And when this PNS system, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated, the acetylcholine pathways are activated. The neurons associated with acetylcholine, those are activated. The problem is that in animals, ANS, that is SNS, is activated by immediate threats or physical needs. Either the animal is hungry, or he sees something bigger than itself, which is dangerous to him or it. Then this response will be activated, and it will shut down itself when the danger is averted. In humans, as well as some primates. The problem is that this system, SNS, is also activated through thoughts alone. There is no requirement for any physical threat. We can activate, we are specialized in activating the system through our thoughts alone. And that is the problem with us, with the humans. Brain and the endocrine system, nervous system, they like a theater production. So I talked about neurotransmitter, which are transmitted through the neurons. Those are the lines spoken by the actors. So two actors, like two neurons, are talking to each other. Neurotransmitters perform the functions of the lines spoken by the actors, while the hormones, they are like the theater's lighting and climate control. Their effect is on a broader scale. They make it easier for the actors to feel heated or cold and influencing how every single person in the room experiences the scene. They change the complete environment. While the neurotransmitter is limited to the messages between two neurons or two actors, the hormones, they affect the complete system. Hypothalamus is a major gland, is a major organ. It secretes certain hormones. It gives messages to pituitary gland. Then pituitary gland in the brain itself, it sends messages to adrenal gland, ovaries, intestine, other organs to secrete certain hormones. And this is the difference between the hormones and the neurotransmitters. The speed hormones act slower, while the neurotransmitter take fraction of seconds to act. Fraction of second. The range of anger, with the anger which you feel instantly, is due to the neurotransmitters. And hormones set up the whole stage. They act slowly. It takes minutes to hours to make them act. And they travel throughout the bloodstream and affecting many targets. The neurotransmitter affect only the succeeding neuron, while the hormones, they affect many organs. And certain hormones like testosterone or cortisol, they work inside the cells and alter the genes which are turned off or on, creating long-lasting changes in our brain and in our nervous system. I will list down certain neurotransmitters and hormones, certain important neurotransmitters and hormones. There are exciting neurotransmitters. Exciting means when we are happy, then also we are excited. When we are in a little bit of tension, only small tension, then also we are excited. So then the glutamate neurotransmitter is transmitted. The neurons connect, the glutamate signature neurons, those are activated. Then dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Some authors call it neuromodulator also. It is responsible for pleasure and reward. This is also activated. When we see certain good thing near us, this dopamine is released. This exciting neurotransmitter is released. And then epinephrine, which is adrenaline, the second name of adrenaline, it is also secreted for a small amount of stress. This is also exciting neurotransmitter. Then there are certain inhibitory neurotransmitter responsible for our parasympathetic nervous system to work. It inhibits us, our responses. It slows us down. It calms us down. GABA is such a neurotransmitter. Serotonin is such a neurotransmitter. And norepinephrine is such a neurotransmitter. It's responsible for attention. When we are attentive and doing something, like some of you will be attentive attending this webinar, norepinephrine would be released in their brain, inside their brain. And there is another neurotransmitter responsible for memory. This is known as acetylcholine. Now moving towards happy hormones. The most important happy hormone is oxytocin, which is responsible for our feelings of attachment and bonding. And there is testosterone, which is responsible for our aggressiveness. And then again adrenaline, which is a neurotransmitter also and a hormone also. Small amount of adrenaline is beneficial for us. Then there are sad hormones. The major is cortisol, which is secreted when we feel fear, anger, disgust, shame, and sadness. Whether we learn a good habit, either we develop a phobia, This long-term potentiation, in short term, LTP is responsible for that. This 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 side, this one, the top one is the presynaptic neuron. This is the neuron which is trying to pass the information or the neurotransmitter to this postsynaptic neuron. This is the second neuron. These are the receptor and these are the neurotransmitters. So it is like doing anything. It is like doing anything. Maybe this glutamate will be secreted from here, and some of the receptors will be trying to receive this. This is a pre-LTP long-term potential stage. Stage 2 will come when we do this thing for a certain number of times. One action for a certain number of times. Then the aha moment. Like during this my webinar, some of the moments will be the aha moment for you. Like you must be remembering when your teachers used to teach in your class, at some of the moment, that those were aha moments. You start understanding the things. So when this aha moment comes, this repeated stimulation results in opening of NDMA receptors. These are a specific type of receptors, and once they open, this complete system reopens. There is a flow of calcium inside and changes in the neuron. You see the number of receptors pre-LTP position and the number of receptors post-LTP condition. Now the habit has been developed. Now the habit is developed. Suppose you whenever you enter into a bathroom and go to brush your teeth. So when you do it once, this. When you do it 21 times, this. As you enter your bathroom, you have an urge to do brush because this is activated due to that cue. This pathway will be activated. The neurons that wire together, fire together. Okay, any of the neuron in that association, if it is wired, wired neuron is fired, all of the neurons will be firing. So this was the basis for long-term potentiation. On one side, it is beneficial for learning good habits. On the other side, it is detrimental on learning bad habits, addictions, and also in long-term stresses. So real-life examples of LTP long-term potentiation is memorization of fact. When we repeat something, memorize, this LTP happens. When we learn a new skill, LTP happens. Developing a phobia, LTP happens. Addiction cues. Suppose somebody is alcoholic. He has left alcohol. But if he moves near that street where he used to take the alcohol, those neural pathways will be activated. And he will have a strong urge again to take alcohol. And it has a very prime role while dealing with stress. This LTP has a very prime role in dealing with stress. So the hormones, they regulate the brain. It is a two-way street. The hormones started secretion due to the message for the brain. In turn, they also change the tendency of the brain to respond to future stimulus. It is a two-way street. The brain causes the hormones, certain type of hormones to be secreted, and these hormones in turn cause certain permanent change inside the brain, so that they respond to the stimulus in a different way. So this is the baseline. This figure shows the baseline. A normal activity. Whenever you do something good, the dopamine is released from one neuron and it is recepted, being received through these receptors to the other neuron. When you enter into short-term stress, the inverted U curve. Remember the inverted U curve, the Yerkes-Dodson curve. In the short-term stress, glucocorticoids are secreted inside the neuron. Nothing but adrenaline. And the amount of dopamine release is increased. And the receptors of dopamine are also increased a bit. For short-term stress, I repeat, for short-term stress, this dopamine release is increased. That's why you feel pleasure and motivation for short-term stress. But if the stress is continued or it exceeds certain limit, then these dopamine receptors are decreased. And the quantity of dopamine is also decreased. So that if you are converting this short-term stress into long-term stress, then your feeling of pleasure will be reduced. You will not be feeling happiness in any of the circumstances, because your receptors as well as the dopamine release, the amount of dopamine released by your neurons is reduced a lot. So understanding one brain is itself very complex. There are about 4,000 type of cells inside the brain. And I say that there are three main brains inside our body. This brain that we have discussed, our gut is itself a brain. There are 1,000 million neurons inside the gut. And the neurotransmitter serotonin, 90% of the serotonin is produced in the gut. So this gut, it works on its own. Sometimes you must have felt that if your gut is not good, you are feeling very angry. You are feeling vexed. You are feeling perplexed. Your gut is not good. And the other way around also. When you are not feeling good, your gut is not good. It's a bidirectional relationship. And this relationship, the relationship between the heart and the brain, both have to work in symphony, in the rhythm. If your heart is saying something else and your brain is saying something else, you cannot be happy. You cannot be happy. You have to sync. You have to realign. You have to reorient your thinking, your decision, your reasoning as per your beliefs, as per your virtues. Then only you will be happy in the long term.